What's going on with a bunch of crazed dogs?
My camera. How about them Giants? How about them Giants? How about them Giants?
Woo! What's happening, people? Yep, we're back. All right, it's and we never left. Actually, thank you for watching another episode of Giants Rush, where we talk Giants football pretty much every single Monday. And we're here, got a lot going on, getting closer and closer to the draft. Which is all good stuff. I got Chris and I got Sean ready to talk to you guys. Just want to give a quick shout out to what we do here. If you're new to the show or you're just tapping in now, we basically do what we call Fan Appreciation Day. So every draft, which is Thursday and Friday, we do Fan Appreciation Night. We bring on, I don't know, between like 60, 50 and 60 of fans of Giants Rush. We bring them on so they can talk a little bit about the draft and the picks and get your voice heard. Everybody gets like 10 to 15 minutes. We bring you guys on. We always have a blast. It's like a 6-hour show on Thursday and a 6-hour show on Friday. So we're looking forward to getting you guys here. If you have an interest in being on the draft show, definitely hit me up, DM me or DM one of the guys. Let's bring these guys in because I know they're chomping at the bit to to talk some football too.
Miss the fireworks.
There won't be any fireworks.
And here we go.
What's up?
What's going on, Craig? That intro never gets old, man. I love it. It never gets old.
There won't be any fireworks.
Yes, there will. There's always fireworks when I'm on, Craig. There's always fireworks.
Yes, but I don't have the energy to joust with you today. I'm worn out.
Okay, all right.
My child has worn me out.
All right, I'll go easy on you then.
All right, I appreciate it. But I can tell you this.
Yeah.
It's good to be the king.
It's always good to be the king.
Oh, of course.
And then, we got to find Chris here because I don't have a producer. Zach's got some stuff going on. He's got to take care of, so Zach will be back in a couple weeks. But Chris was in, then he was out. Yeah. Now he's back in again. His biceps didn't get any smaller. They're still huge.
No goes Steve Austin. He is the man. Well, the captain toughen up is over here, giving himself a beer bath.
There he is. What's up?
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up?
Hello.
It's another episode of Giants Rush where we got plenty of things to talk about, gentlemen, right?
Yeah. We got it's the old guy crew tonight.
It's the old guy crew. Speak for yourself.
Right.
I already know I'm old. You don't have to remind me.
True.
I see Drew's in the house. I see you guys piling in the room. Thanks for tuning in. Gentlemen, I was talking about fan appreciation before I pulled you guys in, right? We're coming up to the draft. So I got your lists. I'm pretty sure I got all your lists. Chris, I think I have your list.
Yep. I emailed it to you. A couple of my people got them. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of formulating who's going where because some people can't do Thursday, some can do Friday. So I'm slotting guys in and filling everything up for the draft night. Now, of course, since Sean is disgruntled that he's going to be hosting day 2, the rumor has it that he's going live with Drew over at Goofballs. So I mean, going head to head with us on draft night. Just
he can't wait for that Sanders pick, and I'm fine either night, man. Just so you know, I'll do what you want me Friday. Whatever you want to do.
You're on. You and Truth are on.
Okay.
This year are on day 1.
Day 1.
Sean's gonna hold it down with Alex on day 2 because Spartan's at the draft.
Yeah.
No, never mind. He's at the draft for day 1, so he'll be back for day 2.
Okay.
Right. So there you go. So yeah, I mean, listen, it's a one night thing. It's day 1. I mean, I'm the special guest or whatever you want to call me on that thing.
Yeah,
Right?
you're competing against this. So I think all I know is you better just every sentence starts off with Giants Rush says this. Giants Rush says
Hey, Sean, what time does that kick off? The show with Goofballs.
I don't know. I haven't been contacted
right.
as of yet. It's still in the
Okay.
works. I'm kind of like, Russell Wilson behind the scenes right now. So
no, we'll be keeping an eye on that show.
We'll see if it happens or not.
Yeah, we'll tune in.
It's all been on here in the chat.
I mean, all I know is that we're like live from 6 to like 10. So if it's on that time, we're hoping to get some plugs from you. Okay,
Of course.
Drew is taking.
I'll be representing Rush. Of course, I'll be wearing a Rush shirt that night and everything.
I mean, you better incorporate that into everything you say, like every fourth word. All right, well, gentlemen, let's talk a little Giants football. Thanks for you guys for piling in the room. I see. I think I saw Mark pop in here. I see Cold pop in. I see Grandier pop in. I see a couple of you guys are rolling in now. Mark B's in the house. Brooklyn's in the house. Appreciate that. So let's start off with this. Let's just talk about a lot of stuff happened, right, over the last 6 days. So are the Giants, Chris, better today than they were, 6 days ago? There is 2 quarterbacks in the house. We know Jameis Winston got a 2-year deal. Russell Wilson got a 1-year deal, bunch of incentives laid in there. Are the Giants better today than they were 6 days ago?
100%. Absolutely.
Tell me more.
Well, even besides adding Russell and Wilson, you added a couple of receivers and Zach Pascal and what's this, Humphrey? Little Jordan Humphrey. So even some side action, and Humphrey's a big boy. Sean will tell you he's like 6'2", so he might be a nice target in the red zone. So I think some depth there. But, I think the Giants finally understand that you got to roll into this season with a viable backup. And that's what you're going to have with Winston, right? A guy that can come into the game similar to a Tyrod Taylor and hopefully, not skip a beat. You gotta watch those interceptions. But I think with a backup coming into a game, if Russell Wilson, unfortunately were to get hurt, I think, we could still run the offense the way Dable wants to run it. So I give the Giants credit for not backing off of Russell Wilson and making sure that they got another quarterback in the room, another professional.
Chris, let me ask you this, though. And this is just, I'm not trying to be skeptical and I'm not trying to be sarcastic or even negative. I'm confused about something, right? Because Dable's offense is supposedly predicated on throwing the deep ball, having a mobile quarterback, running RPO, getting the quarterback outside the tackle, right? Kind of, West Coast, but being able to, stretch the field a little bit. And there was always a complaint they didn't have the receiver, didn't have the quarterback. Chris, neither of these guys strike me as a quarterback that fits Dave's offense at all. Like they don't remind me of like mobile QBs. They definitely don't. It doesn't feel like they're RPO quarterbacks. So all those like design runs that Jones did. And to some degree, Tyrod and Tommy when necessary. Like, I don't feel these guys are that type of guy, or am I crazy?
Well, listen, the two things they both do is throw the ball downfield, right? You see Wilson throw the ball on the boundary. He doesn't work the middle of the field that much. Then again, you have Winston who kind of works the whole field, but both of these guys can throw the ball downfield with long shots. And I think in terms of the RPO, we saw it with Daniel Jones a couple of years ago when the offense was so bad when he was playing. These RPOs didn't even work anymore because teams were keying on the RPO so much. So I think with Dable, it's only so much he's going to do with these RPOs. I think what he'd like to do is really throw the ball downfield, let it rip, and really let these guys go through their progressions and read and get rid of the ball. And the one thing with Wilson, he's not as mobile as he used to be, but he's still shifty, right? He could still move around the pocket. He could still elude the pass rush. And what I like about both of these guys, they seem to process the field a lot better than Jones. The one thing with Winston, decision-making, right? So that's the one thing you get concerned with Winston is his decision-making. But, hey, it's time for Dable maybe to reel him in a little bit. And when the time comes, if he gets in the game, he's got to be able to get out there and not lose the game with turnovers. And I think that's going to be, I don't want to say he's got to be neutered, but if Wilson's the starter, Winston has to be able to come the game and manage that game where the Giants don't lose and he's able to, perform like a backup without throwing the ball to the other team.
Sean.
Yeah.
Are the Giants better today than they were when we were on last week kicking Joe Shane's ass on this show for an hour?
100%, without a doubt, without question, absolutely. I can't be any more clear on that one. Absolutely. And to go back what you're just talking about there, I mean, Dable is about explosive plays and pushing the ball downfield. Shane just came out and said that today. So I think the RPO gets a little over, like that narrative is out there for whatever reason. I don't think that's the case. I think he utilized it because Jones was that guy. But I think as far as the action or the play action with the RPO, Wilson can do that. Winston can do that, right? So it's more of, he doesn't necessarily have to run with it, but he can make that same play action to the making it look like it's an RPO, which is fine. But he's going to throw the ball down the field, which is what we haven't had, right? And in Dable's offense, again, with Wilson, I know he doesn't use the middle of the field, but neither does Dable's offense. Like, he doesn't really use a lot of that. So the outs, yeah, they'll run some slants, which Wilson can do, but that deep ball is where we struggled. But don't be surprised to see Wilson use a little bit more of the middle of the field with that coaching from Dable to be like, hey, we got the deep ends. Let's go after these. He may not run a seam, with the tight end. He may not chance that unless it's wide open. But I think he's an ideal fit for what Dable wants to do. Again, especially with how good of a deep ball Wilson throws. And Winston's not afraid to throw the deep ball either. But our quarterback room is 100 times better than it was last year. And especially when you look at leadership, and Shane came out and said today, it's tough when leadership doesn't match the production. Wilson has that production to match up his leadership. Winston has the production too. Again, we know turnovers are an issue, but at least there's production from both these guys where they can be leaders.
And just to go off of what Sean said, Craig, when you had Jones and Barkley playing together a couple years ago, those were arguably the two best athletes on the field. So he was leaning on that RPO. They didn't have a receiver, like a Neighbors until last year. So I think to a detriment, this RPO was drilled way too much when you had Barkley and Jones, because that was really the only one of the few options they had to move the ball. I mean, we saw how bad the offense was throwing downfield.
True, and Dable's a much different play caller than Arthur Smith, and I do believe now, DK Metcalf trade aside, last year's Pittsburgh offense, I think we have more playmakers than their offense did. Pickens was inconsistent. He had attitude issues. He didn't always play hard every game. They had Najee Harris, who was okay, right? And they had Freiermuth as a tight end, but they didn't have, other solid receivers. So I think there's more talent here. And I also think as the season went on, Arthur Smith changed his play calling, which limited. That was what they wanted to run more. They wanted to be more conservative. I don't think you're going to get that here. So you look at Wilson in the first, 7 games where he was doing, you could tell the difference, what changed there. And again, I think there's more playmakers on this offense than what Pittsburgh had.
I like where you both went. I kind of look again. I wasn't happy with the Winston thing for a million reasons. I mean, it is what it is. I love him as the backup, right? Yep. I didn't think that the Giants were putting their best foot forward with Winston as a starter. I didn't want a rookie QB learning from a guy that doesn't care about ball security, and the guy hasn't played a full season since 2019. However, Russ, for me anyway, I like the fact that, I mean, I don't know how he's going to be. I don't know if you're I think Chris, you mentioned this last week. I don't know if you get the Denver Russell Wilson. Do you get the mid-season Steelers Russell Wilson? I don't know. I don't think any of us know, but I do know that the guy wins games. The guy knows how to win games. He's going to bring some type of management to the position, and I think, or stability to the position. I think he's going to be able to your point, Sean, I think Wilson can live in the middle of the field now. He can, you know what I mean? He's got Wandale, right? We're hoping that maybe Hyatt takes off or one of these younger guys, right? I mean, of course, we know what Neighbors can do. He can be short, mid, or long, right? But I think Russ brings something to the table that they haven't had. Guys won a Super Bowl. Guys got in the playoffs. Guy knows how to win games, right? And I think
I was going to say, how about a guy that can get under center? I mean, Russell Wilson's proven he can run the play action and get under center, which is going to be something we haven't seen in a while.
Great point. And you know what? That may bode well for us because we may need a little extra, right? We may need a little bit of play action to help us create space. And I mean, that's a great point. You know, again, like there's deception when you're under center. There's not a whole lot of deception when you're in the shotgun, right? So I do think that Russell Wilson's, you know, and I'm glad the Giants didn't wait for Rodgers. We know that these guys are like what's left, but I also, regardless if it was Russell Wilson or Rodgers, I don't think either one of these guys wants to go out a bum. I do think they have a little chip on their shoulder to say, I've got more in the tank. I do think Russell Wilson wants to play 2 more years. I think he wants to be here next year. So I think he's almost playing for a second contract.
Yep.
Or, you know what I mean? Because, you know, like the Giants were smart to give him 1 year, but Russ took it.
Yeah.
Right. He was like, yeah, I'm in, man. I don't want to wait anymore too. I want 18.
Right.
So he's
they
probably
offered. And they said they offered him when he came in for the visit. So it's not like they made the offer last minute. Like they were working things out behind the scenes with Wilson after his visit. So it's not like that. And then 2 other points I'll just make quick about why we're better. Both Winston and Wilson want to be here, and they're excited to be here. And they talked about the team and the roster. I know, you know, Russ is a polished PR guy, but there's no doubt he wanted to be here. He's wanted to be here for years. So that's a given. Winston absolutely wanted to be here. You can tell that he wanted to be here. And the other reason why we're better today is now we can go into the draft and not have to force a pick. We're set up to do whatever we want to do. We have options on the table, and that makes the Giants better. And we haven't been there in years to be able to be better going into the draft.
Well, that's a great segue. Great segue. So we both agree, or all of us were, we lost Chris. He was all frozen up. We agree the Giants are better. Definitely better at the quarterback position. And that was, you need that, right? We've been going into this season with, is Jones going to be ready?
Yep.
Or Jones is ready, but is he going to get hurt? Or is he going to get sacked 75 times, right? Like we've had nothing but, I don't know what the word is, upheaval, question marks. I don't know, like concerns. At least there's some stability there. I know that's not a whole lot to grasp on, but stability is a whole lot better than what we had the last 6 years, right? Because he's been in, he's been hurt, and he's out. So stability definitely is something we're not used to, and I'm pretty cool with that. The segue is, and I hope Chris, gets back in and jumps in. So now that we don't have to force a pick, as you just alluded to a minute ago, in your estimation, will the Giants draft a QB? Not necessarily with the 3rd pick. Right. Will the Giants draft a QB? Because I think there is, of course, we know the top 3 QBs. And there's a really good chance that all 3 of them go in the 1st round because there are some QB desperate teams. Raiders, Jets, Browns. Who else am I missing? Quarterback desperate teams.
See, that's the thing where I view it differently now. I don't think Raiders are desperate for quarterback because Geno Smith's still young enough. Geno's their guy. I don't think they're going to go quarterback. I really don't. I don't think Jets will go quarterback because they got Fields. I think Saints maybe, but they're tied into the car with their contract. So maybe Saints. Cleveland, I think they're going to go. I believe they're going to go quarterback later in the draft.
Well, there is a lot of conversation out there about trading for Dak, and they might have made some promises to Pickett. So,
yes.
But the question is that there's also, whether you like him or not, just in general, the conversation is that Howard and Ewers and Shuck?
Yeah. Shuck.
And are all out there. So the question is, will the Giants draft a QB?
I believe they will, and I believe quarterback at 3 is still on the table as well. I don't think that's off the table, but I believe they will draft a quarterback. Yes, I think they will.
So Chris just texted me. He's got a huge thunderstorm right now. Baseball. He had a baseball game with his son, and it got canceled. So he said he lost power. So he's gonna jump in if he gets it back.
Okay, all right, it's fine.
Hang on. All good. So, all right. So Chris will be back when he can.
Okay.
I'm kind of on the fence. I'm kind of on the fence if the Giants will draft a quarterback. I don't think, again, a lot of us have to buy into what we read, right?
Right.
And then, you can look at there is some signs or there's some things that get kicked around that can lead you to some observations, right? outside of Ward, Sanders, and Dart, there's not a whole lot of conversation about the Giants hanging around and talking to all these other quarterbacks.
No, not that I can remember. But the 30 visits will tell you all you need to know. Whoever they bring in for their top 30 visits will give you a good idea. So if they bring in a quarterback later or multiple quarterbacks, then I'll give you a good idea. Because the Giants have really gone with whoever they brought in for their top 30 visits the last 3 years under this regime. So
I'm going to throw this up here from JT. I like where he's going. Says, grain of salt, if we don't draft the QB early, we could trade a pick for the kid in New England. I mean, anything's possible, right? Oh, wait, maybe we got Chris. Maybe.
yeah, we got Chris back.
He's back.
All right.
That was like a crazy exit. You were like,
everything all power went out. Yeah.
Well, let me throw while I got you, in case I lose you again, I'm going to get you right in here. I asked Sean if the Giants are going to draft the QB, not with pick 3, just in general. And I had said, and I followed that up with outside of the top 3 QBs. We know the top 3 QBs in the draft most likely are Ward, Sanders, Dart. There's Chuck, Ewers, Howard. I don't know. Milrow. People are somehow talking about Milrow.
It's got a lot of upside.
Yeah. I guess so. But after talking to Dave after the Senior Bowl, like knowing that he was that clunky, Sean, and it was that uncomfortable, and that totally just was a red flag for me. Like that I don't want to hear about coaching. I don't hear about that, anything like that. You can't be 21 years old and have mechanic issues that the pros don't like. So, but I can throw Milrow in there. Chris, are the Giants going to draft the QB regardless of the where?
In my opinion, if they were going to draft them, it would probably be the 5th round, maybe, because I think these defensive tackles, right? You're going to want to jump on one of these defensive tackles in the 2nd or 3rd round, and best guy available. So, they need depth at cornerback too. It's nice with a Dable, and Banks is going to hopefully rebound. But when you look at the depth chart at corner, I would think maybe that 4th round they're going to need a corner as well. So I think it's going to be the best guy available, to be honest. I don't know if they make a shot at a quarterback at round 4. 3, if they don't have a defensive tackle, they're going to have to grab them. We're talking about guards. I think there's going to be other needs, maybe, to roll the dice instead of a project.
Well, let me ask you both this, because sometimes I just feel I don't understand the concept of, the fan base. We all want a quarterback, right? There is some good QBs there. There were good QBs last year. But so JT was talking about, Chris from Insider. Chris, you're pretty tight with those guys. And Jerry,
Sorry.
that Chris reported about them looking at Milton from New England and maybe trade to pick for him. Chris, just help me understand this. And again, I'm not knocking anybody. Chris is just, JT's just regurgitating what he heard from Chris, right? He's starting conversation. But do we not understand as a fan base that majority, not all of them, but majority of these guys, they don't start for a reason, or they slip in the draft for a reason. There's always the outliers, right? There's always the outlier like Russell Wilson who gets picked in the 2nd or the 3rd round, or Brock Purdy, right? There's always the outliers. But when we look at Sean always, he's tired of me hearing me say it, but the body of work, right? 32 teams, they're usually top picks, top 1st pick, 2nd pick. You don't find a guy sitting on the bench that's not good for that. You could trade and step in.
Well, listen, the big arm, the mobility, it's all enticing, right? You see these guys, it's like the intangibles, like with Richardson, with the Colts. But when you talk about Milton, the guy had one good game. He played one game and he played lights out. Is it worth trading for a guy like that? And here's the other thing. If you trade, or even if you draft the guy in that 4th, 5th round, how much work and growth is he going to have playing in back of Russell Wilson and Winston? It's going to be hard pressed for Winston to play, enough with the first team and get reps in practice. Now you're talking about a 3rd string quarterback. How many reps is he going to get with practice being the 3rd one on the list? So that's the other thing to think about, is you want the growth with that drafted quarterback in that 4th or 5th round as a project, but really how much work is he going to get when he's sitting in back of 2 veterans?
Yeah, and the other thing with Milton, that good game you brought up, Chris, it was against like 4 stringers.
Yeah, they already things locked up. I mean, and maybe he turns out to be, but is it worth the risk of giving up? You know, I don't think so, because that sets us back even further. I mean,
especially if they're asking for a 3rd rounder. There's no way I'm trading a 3rd round pick for Joe Milton. Listen, what he showed at the Senior Bowl, what he showed on the Pro Day, that is exactly what you're getting with Joe Milton. Like, I know he did what he did. Maybe he'll prove us wrong, but no, I'm not trading a 3rd round pick for Joe Milton. Sorry. I don't care how far he can throw the ball.
Yeah. No, there is, you know, like I said, there's guys that look good, you know, in shorts and t-shirts, and there's guys that get on the field and you're like, wow, like this cat can play.
You know what he'd be perfect with? If he was around when Eli Manning was the quarterback, because Eli never missed games. You could have him be the backup. Chances are he's not going to see a lot of action unless it's mop-up duty, and you're letting him get the reps in practice when available. So I think for a guy like Milton to end up with a team that actually has a solid starter where he can still get reps as the backup and they don't have to be forced to put him in.
Drafting a quarterback is going to be tough, guys. Again, you're drafting a guy that really should be the number 2, but he's the number 3, you know, unless there's some kind of twist here that Jameis Winston like could become the next Davis Webb, where, you know, like he's thinking about after football, right? And learning to be a backup, and maybe there's an opportunity for him to transition to a quarterback coach role. I don't know, but I got to tell you, like, if they're really that high on Winston being a legit backup quarterback, which he can easily do, right? I mean, he's a pro, but it does strike me a little bit odd to say that I'm going to waste the 3rd pick, you know, the 3rd pick in the draft, or, you know, maybe like, as you said, Chris, like you may need a quarterback, but how does that guy get anything if he's on the 3rd team? Yeah. And you just signed Winston, like, because Winston can be a backup. Like, do you really draft a QB and make him QB 3?
You might not even dress him. He'll be on the 53, but he'll be like an emergency quarterback that'll be on the roster.
Full circle, then. Do you see NFL teams do that? Who drafts a quarterback and then scratches them? Yeah, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, and getting back to Winston, I'm really surprised today with his media, and see if you guys agree. They didn't ask him anything about his interceptions. Under Sean Payton, I think he, you know, for the 5 games or 7 games, he threw 3 interceptions. But he's been labeled as a turnover machine with the interceptions. I'm really surprised nobody in the media asked him, listen, Jameis, you've been labeled as this interception machine over the course of your career. What have you done, or what do you plan on doing as you move forward to curtail or cut down on your interceptions? There's something that you've done in the past that, or even last year, you know, that made, you know, that inflates these interceptions. I mean, I would like to hear from him. Is he working on not throwing balls up in the double coverage? You know, You'd like to hear from him what he thinks about it, because we all know what we think about it. We're scared shit sometimes when he's back to pass and throwing balls deep.
Heck yeah.
And it was only the 1 year with the Saints, and mostly he didn't throw a lot of interceptions with the Saints because he wasn't playing much.
Well, I think he played. But he had 14 touchdowns or 12 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions in 7 games when Breeze was hurt. Yeah. So, like, what did Sean Payton do? What did he say to him? You know, and that's what you hope Dable can do as this guru. You know, to kind of reel him in a bit.
I think Cold here's got a good point. Let me throw this up here. You know, he's not going to change. He is who he is. And I just, you know, there could be really simple. Like, I don't know how much, you know, Dable and Shane talk to the press about, hey, we're not covering that. We're not talking about that. It could be like, hey, ask him anything else, but don't badger the new guy on his picks. Like, I don't know if that stuff takes place or not.
I just like to hear him address his interceptions. No, of course. And I would just like to hear him at some point address, you know, why he's had some, you know, interceptions over his career. Just to hear it.
That's because our reporters were more concerned about what Jameis's role was going to be and what he was told his role was going to be, because they want to create drama.
Yeah.
Were you told you're going to be a starter? Were you told you're going to have a chance to start? That's all. That's more what they cared about.
I think that has a little bit of validity, right? Because he got signed first. It wasn't usually the backup gets signed second. He got signed first, and he's a former starter. So there is a little bit of play there. I know what you're alluding to, but I can understand that people might want to know, like, the Giants might have thought, well, this is all we're going to have. Was the starter conversation had? It's not a bad question. The thing is that it should also be followed up somewhere by somebody that's saying, whether you start or don't, are you grinding on better decisions? Because the Giants can't win if if you throw too many picks. Like I,
Right.
I don't know if they're even allowed to go there. I don't know what gets controlled anymore and what doesn't.
Well, I mean, there was a question. Dable was brought up. I mean, here's the thing. It's funny. It's like our fan base has a much different opinion of Dable than the players in the NFL do. Like everybody that you hear, players that talk about Brian Dable, have nothing but great things to say about the dude, the work he's done, everything that he's done. So it's interesting to me. And some can be lip service. I get, you can see that, but there's more to lip service than when they expand upon it and they use certain words about when they're talking about it. So it's interesting to me because that was a question they asked too. And Winston was very excited. So maybe there is something that Dayball can do to like, hey, I'm going to have guys open so you ain't got to worry about, like you have to hit open receivers and know somebody's going to be open. This is what it's going to be. So maybe he's like, all right, yeah, I won't be able to throw interceptions because I'm not running around. I'm not trying to find a guy late. Like I'm going to hit somebody in timing. Like it's a timing based offense. So maybe that's what appealed to Winston, right? To work with Dable and, maybe that'll help him. Cause I think Peyton's offense was kind of the same way, right? Like it was a lot of timing based offense. So
I think, yeah, and I didn't really have this as a question. So we're kind of sidebarring here, but it's worth definitely talking about. Dable's issue to me is super clear, right? Like why the fan base is where they are with Dable. Cause he came in year one and won coach of the year and then took with Jones and Richie James and went to the playoffs, right? And then like that next year, like you start peeling back, like, again, it's the New York media. We're preying on every piece of content that's out there, right? So you see him throw a tablet. Guys are throwing tablets on every sideline in the NFL. But because we have a shitty quarterback situation or a crappy quarterback situation, you throw a tablet, you right away connect, Dable Jones throwing tablet, right? We don't even know if, who that tablet was thrown at. And then Jones gets hurt and like frustration builds. And then year 3, he basically again, I don't know. The joke was that he took that Ozempic, lost all that weight, and it took his personality with him.
Yeah.
Like all last year, he was like a drone. I
Yeah.
mean, like he wasn't animated anymore. Now, again, New York is tough. It can grind you to nothing, right? But he just became like a cheap version of, Andy Reid when he was with the Eagles, not Kansas City, because he's got personality with Kansas City because he's winning and he's got Pat Mahomes.
It kind of sounded like Ben McAdoo a little bit up there. Just kind of monotone, just straight, nothing.
Yeah.
And scripted, monotoned. So I think, Sean, I think like they went from loving Dave's what he did, and then in year 2, like the frustration boils over, nothing's going right, and Jones gets hurt, and you're like, what the heck? And like you're waiting for Guru Man to step in and fix it. And I do think somewhat he is not flawed, but like there are guys that can change on the fly and make stuff happen and make something out of nothing. I don't think he's quite there yet. Like it may not be with the Giants. It could be another job, but I don't think Dable's perfected his head coaching yet. You know what I mean? Like where like I just need to, I need to do something drastic,
Yeah.
and he couldn't do that in year 2. And then year 3, it looked like he was checked out.
I mean, could it be? Yep.
I was to say, well, 2 things. Number one, I think there was, I don't want to say mandate, but I think there was something said to him because you remember all the drama that went on in the offseason with the arguments and the headsets and all that, everything that was written about. So I think somebody, whether it was Mara or whether it was Shane, said, look, we need you to tone it down this year. But I also think once the benching happened of our quarterback, I think he was just like, I'm going to get through the season because I know what this is going to be. And we're just going to go from there. Like, I think he's looking forward to this year. So I think we'll see a different Dable. I hope they let him go because, again, for 2 years, he had the fire, he had the passion. I don't think it's because of the losing. I do think because that offseason drama that went on with Wink and then other things where, it was said that Shane listened in on the headset, which, by the way, every GM does at some point. They listen in on the headsets. But I'm sure if it wasn't Mara, it was somebody else that said, look, we're going to need you to tone it down a little bit this year because there's enough things going on. Because we all know that Giants and Mara are about optics, right? Which drives me crazy. But don't be surprised if that's why he was the way he was this year.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a combination of a lot of things. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, 3 things stick out in my mind with Dable looking at Jones. The reads, the progressions, and taking shots downfield could very well just suck the whole life out of him. And you saw that energy, just not the Dable we had seen in the past. So now it's going to be interesting with a Russell or a Winston, if Winston's in there, just being able to run the offense that he wants, because both of these guys, by all accounts, can make the reads and make the progressions fairly, at a good pace. So maybe we see things different. And then it kind of brings it back to Jones. And then we're going to say, hey, you know what? It really did hamper and hamstring Dable on what he wanted to do. And it was just maybe a frustration, because the one thing with Dable, he doesn't throw his guys under the bus. He may talk to him privately and rip into him, but you don't see him in front of the media actually calling guys out. And that's could have been very well the whole thing going on with Jones. He didn't know where to turn, and it basically sucked the life out of him.
I will say I'm really surprised. I'd love to know what happened in Pittsburgh because with Russ, because two things, and the guys in the chat are all talking about Dable calling plays. There's a bunch of them going back and forth. So the interesting thing about Pittsburgh, and why I didn't think he was leaving Pittsburgh, is because he really liked the offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh. Russ's wife, and the offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh, his wife, got along really well, and they were going to dinner, doing game planning. They were talking a lot. They were spending a lot of time together. So I thought that was a good spot for Russ, because this guy was working with Russ to make him better, or whatever you want to call it, right? Help him succeed, right? So him leaving is a little odd. I really do, unless it was just Pittsburgh making the dictate, hey, we're not going to embarrass you, but we got to part ways, because I have this feeling that Russ would have stayed if he felt that they wanted him, right? Second thing is that what I just mentioned, there was a big article about this whole relationship with his offensive coordinator. I know Dabes is going to still call plays, right? So I'm curious to see if Dabes gravitates towards Kafka, or if Russ gravitates towards Kafka, or Russ gravitates towards Dabes, because you want that good working relationship, right? These guys figuring out what works, what routes looks good, what works with the way Russell sees the game, right? So I'd be curious to see if it's a Russ and Kafka relationship, or if it's a Russ and Dabes relationship.
I think based on what he said, it'll be a Russ and Dabes. I mean,
Well,
they have high respect for Dabes. I mean, Dabes is a proven play caller. And
Yeah.
Right,
doesn't mean that doesn't. I'm just saying in general. That's what we think. Doesn't mean in the long run that he hits it off with Kafka, and Kafka and him start working closely together to make them better. Yes, up front, it's going to be Dabes and Dabes' guy and Dabes' plays.
Yeah. And Shea Tierney plays a role too. It's been interesting to see how he gets along with Shea Tierney, because it's going to be those three guys. Well, it'll be Tierney and Dabbs mostly, but Kafka will have some input there too. But Shea Tierney's the kind of one that I'm curious to see how he gets along there.
Yeah, actually, Wilson came out and said their paths crossed at some point years ago.
NC State, yeah,
okay,
and they were
State.
NC State together. Yep,
Perfect.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep, good point, Chris.
You're talking about Kafka, right?
Yep.
No,
it's Tierney.
Tierney
and Wilson, at NC State.
Again, these are sometimes deciding factors, right? Where you go.
Yeah. Sean and Craig, do we have any clarity on the role of Kafka? I mean, obviously Dave's is going to be calling the plays. He's going to go down with the ship if it goes down. But has it been confirmed that he's actually has a big part in game planning? We still haven't gotten clarification on that.
No, it hasn't. And by the way, it doesn't almost matter, because it's a new quarterback. So this may completely look different than it did last year. Completely. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? Everything that we know, we got to throw out. Right? I mean, because Jones is gone. That whole thing is gone. Tyrod's gone. Drew Lock is gone. Right? This is two veteran quarterbacks coming in. So I think we just instead of even guessing, because we don't know. There's not been one thing except for Dave's calling the plays. So I think Kafka's role may continue to dwindle, or it may go forward. Maybe him and Tierney and Ross hit it off, and they start working together on making this better. So I think it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the concerning part is, all right, Daves wants to call plays, but he's got a whole team to look over. You got to have, you would think Kafka involved, Tierney involved in that game planning for the week. Sometimes you feel like the game gets a little big maybe for Dable, especially with his game management and some of the decisions on rosters. The guy has a lot on his plate. So you hope that Kafka is part of that game planning just to eliminate some of the extra stuff for Dable, you know?
He will, but he'll be now the other thing is the roster management was the same way when Kafka was calling plays. So I think that's a Dable thing. We question that all the time, whether he's calling plays or not. But Kafka's going to do a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. I know that was said, which is again why he's doing these things, because they're also preparing him to become a head coach, because he's interviewed every year, because he's on the fast track, because he has Puerto Rican descent. So he's considered, on the minority fast track. So he's come out and said he's doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff. He's doing a lot of organizational stuff, the management stuff. So he's helping Dable not have to worry about a lot of those things too. So I think it's good for both, but yeah, he'll be involved with game planning and other things there too. But again, I mean, remember we had Mike Shula, who was the offense coordinator for Shermer, right? Who Shula didn't do anything. So this isn't nothing new, right? So, I know people get their whatever in a bunch over Kafka, but it's the same shit that other offense. I mean, who's the offensive coordinator for San Francisco? Who's the
Shanahan? Right?
No, he's the head coach. That's what I mean.
Coach.
Yeah. He's
the
the head coach.
He's also
Right.
calling plays.
Right. So what's his name in Minnesota? Same thing, right? Stefanski and right, Stefanski, and then O'Donnell in Minnesota, and then Sean Payton. Who's the offensive coordinator for Sean Payton? What's he do? Right, like so. There's
but those guys, Sean, they have better game management skills than Dable. You know what I mean? I feel like those guys have their finger on the pulse a little bit better in terms of when the game starts to.
Well, I think your issue is more with roster decisions rather than game management. I think Dable does a good job with game management, the clock running, all of that. I don't think there's any issues there. I think he calls plays well. We just didn't have a quarterback.
Well, I think last year we did see some questionable calls on field goals. When it was fourth down in different situations.
Yeah, there was a bunch of that where you were scratching your head, like, take the points, or we don't score enough, but. And it's going to be interesting, guys, to see how it shakes out. And I'll wrap this up with a bow. It's very simple. We can think what we want of Kafka. Kafka's not going anywhere until he proves what he does works. Nobody's hiring the dude unless the Giants start scoring points and winning games. Why would I hire a guy? Because he can do clerical work. He's got to show that I'm the assistant head coach. I'm putting a ton of time into reviving Russell Wilson's career, and look at Russell Wilson won 9-10 games this year, right? And that's me implementing that offense. It's me, behind the scenes. I find it really hard to believe that anyone's going to hire him if he can't prove that he can do the job. I don't know.
Let me ask you guys a question. If the Giants were to have 7 wins by the midway part, let's say they are 7. All right, let's just say they're at 7-4, right? 7-4. So they're 11 games in, right?
You sure you didn't hit your head? But okay.
Let's just say they are. Yeah. Would you? And at that point, Russ has 20. Let's just throw it out there: 20 touchdowns.
Oh my God, 20 touchdowns
by 11 games in. He has 20 touchdowns. Would you want to sign him to a 2-year deal at that point, or wait till after the season? Let's say he's lights out and he plays like the old Russ we remember from Seattle. The old Russell Wilson. Would you want to sign him, not say long-term, but in like a 2-year deal if that were the case halfway through the season, rather than wait till the end and let him get the free agency?
Who else is on the roster if they draft a rookie quarterback?
Let's say they didn't. Let's say that, yeah, right. Yeah, they didn't draft a quarterback.
If they did, I'm still going to wait. I'm still going to wait till the end of the season.
You still? Okay.
Yeah, I think the Giants have waited long enough for everything, basically. So proactively, yeah, I would sign him. I mean, short. Another year, another deal with an option, or 2, right? But that's it. I mean, because I don't think you got to build. You can't keep going every year. Going, what are we going to do now? You know what I mean?
I kind of agree with you. If he was lights out, it's almost like you'd want to lock him up for 2 more years.
Yeah, if he's almost lights out, with a
winning record,
7-4 is I don't know, pie in the sky. But I'm telling you right now, like I said, if Russell Wilson wins 8 games. I can't see not bringing him back. I mean, I don't know. I don't, and I'm not saying draft quarterback, don't draft the quarterback, but moving the franchise forward where the guy is winning games is important. I don't know if you need Winston at that point.
Right.
Because you draft the quarterback and make him the backup.
Listen, meaningful games in December, right? We get into December and they're somehow still involved in a wild card hunt. That means a lot. Being able to go into that last month of the season and still have a shot.
Yeah. And listen, I mean, the players have come out with both signings, the Malik, Wandale, Slayton, Tracy, they all had positive reactions to the signing of both guys. So these young guys want veteran quarterbacks. Malik came out and said it, like during the season, after the season, like they know they're young. They know they need vet leadership. They know they need a vet quarterback. So they're excited about it. And if the team is excited about who their quarterback is, then that's going to make a huge difference too. And we haven't had that in a while either. We haven't had guys that have been excited about who our quarterbacks are. And these guys right now are excited about our quarterbacks. They know what they've done in the league, especially Wilson, what he's done, what he's accomplished. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. So that, I mean, don't underestimate the impact that that's going to have on this younger roster. Like players know, right? Like they know. So all the reactions have been positive of who's been signed. So that's what stands out the most to me.
All right, let's make a quick shift, guys, because we got some other things that came up this week that we got to get to. So let's just say the Giants aren't going quarterback, right? There are 3 guys on the docket that could potentially, be either pick it at 3 or potentially, move back a couple slots, move back to 6, move back to 7, any of that. There are 3 guys. One is, I'm going to ask you which of these 3 you think or like, and then we're going to dive. So don't talk about one person has something going on. You'll know who it is when I put it up here. So leave that for a second. All right. So at 3, we got Hunter, we got Carter, we got Graham. One, of course, 2-way player, wide receiver, corner. One, depending on the scheme, defensive end, potentially outside linebacker, and of course, defensive tackle. Probably could play both the nose, and the D tackle. He is an enormous man. It's very fast. Sean, start with you.
Yeah.
So we're not taking a quarterback at 3. You want any 3 of these guys? I'm assuming you do.
I do. Yeah. I want, well, listen, I'd be happy with all 3, but to me, it's 1A and 1B between Hunter and Carter at 3.
Okay. Now, is that because you think that Hunter's going to play defense, or is Hunter in your mind playing offense, or both?
I think Hunter's going to play. I think he'll go as a receiver and then used in packages on defense. And to me, he's a unicorn. And if he was only playing one position, he would be the top at either wide receiver or corner if he was only playing one, and he played both at a high level. So he's a unicorn. And Carter is because, I mean, listen, you got a guy that is a game wrecker, or potential game wrecker. You can play him anywhere. You can move him around. We missed on Micah Parsons a few years ago, which still drives me nuts. So I'm looking at one of those 2 guys with that. I know it's easy to go the skill guy and ignore the trenches, but part of me is like, man, we can't keep ignoring the trenches, right? So it's 1A and 1B for me with Carter or Hunter at 3.
Chris.
Abdul Carter.
That's it? That's all you got to say?
Oh, what do you want me to add in?
Well, why you going there?
Well, when you look at, defenses and Giants championships and other, impactful teams that we saw with the Eagles, I mean, those impact plays come from the guys up front. And I think, like Sean alluded to, when you put Carter in the game and he's moving around very much like a Micah Parsons, you can move him all over on the line of scrimmage. And I think that just wreaks havoc. The guy, would impress me in that Notre Dame game, playing with that injured shoulder. He could have bailed on that bowl game or the championship series and just he gave it his all and still was manhandling guys with one arm. Yeah. But I think Carter's a game changer. I think this is a guy that reminds everyone of Micah Parsons. And we talk about the bend that Aziz has. This guy has just as good of a bend, but he's got more power and more moves. Hunter, I think, like Sean said, he's a unicorn. There is a part of me that thinks the Giants would screw it up too, right? Because we've seen that before. I don't know if I trust the Giant staff or the coaching staff to use him properly. However, if he was put into that one position to excel, whether it's let's say it is receiver, I think he gets packages on defense and vice versa. If he's put in there as the DB, he'll get packages on offense too. You also have to consider how many plays he plays in a season, increase of injury, more times on the field. Yeah. So you don't want to overuse him as well. But I think as an impact, we've learned from Giant teams in the past and championship teams, we've won it with the pass rush. We look at guys like Jabril Wilson, Sam Addison. We've had Aaron Ross, decent guys in the backfield, Corey Webster, but it was that up front, the front 7 that won games. that took us, to Super Bowl.
JT says I wouldn't throw the remote with Carter. So yeah, Carter definitely has got some upside. There's a couple guys in here. Like K-Mac said, Hunter. A couple guys. I'm getting a little bit of everything from everybody. So
the only caveat I have is that also why to potentially go Hunter over Carter is the draft is loaded with defensive tackles, edge rush. Like there's Carter's special. Don't get me wrong. That's the one thing I would say is you could get a day one starter and still have a game record. Like Hunter would be a game record on offense. Imagine Hunter and Malik Neighbors together on the same offense. Like that's because Hunter's football IQ is off the charts. Like he's electric as a wide receiver. So, but it's tough because you get, it's like a fancy toy, right? Like it's easy to go toy.
I'll jump in there too because you both brought up two things that I think of right away. One is like Chris just alluded to about the Giants like screwing it up, but because that can happen, right? I mean, we do have a tendency to do that. I'm not really sure why, but here's something, and this is just observations. This isn't like what I want to happen, right? And this isn't something that I think is going to happen, but I've seen it happen. So my question is like, I don't watch enough Colorado. And when I do watch Colorado, I'm watching Sanders tape, right? I'm not really watching Hunter. I think I've watched maybe 3 complete games, Colorado. My thing about Hunter is, he's good at 2 positions. I don't know which one he's better at. Everyone's got a different of opinion. But let's just say for this, let's say we draft Hunter, and he's going to, as Chris said, he's going to package in on no, Sean, you said it. Package in on defense and play offense, right?
Yep.
So my first thing is, again, just throwing this out here for conversation. One is, does that take the ball out of Neighbors' hands? Does it take the ball out of Robinson's hands, right? But maybe not. It's fine. A lot of teams have 2 really good wide receivers, right? So not a big deal, right? Are Hunter and Neighbors very similar style plays, right? Like, do we want more carbon copies of each other? That's a conversation I've seen, on Twitter and Instagram. Do we want the same guy, right? So that's that. The other thing that, to your point, Sean, is packaging him in. I don't know where to package him in because Phillips is great.
Yep.
We just signed a Dable. And I don't care what a lot of people say, what they want. Banks was miserable, but he's still a first-round draft pick. NFL teams don't give up on first-round draft picks. He's going to be the CB2. So I don't know where Hunter packages in. Yes, I guess you can force it, right? You can force it, but I don't think he's necessary on defense unless, again, you're benching Banks and a Debo plays 1 and Hunter plays 2. I don't see that happening. Okay. Now, the bigger picture for Hunter to me is this. If he's playing wide receiver or DB for that matter, if he gets hurt, you lose 2 players. I lose a wide receiver and a corner. I know he's a unicorn and he's a good dude on the field, off the field. Everybody likes him, right? Dion's always raving about how great of a kid he is. I worry about what Chris was saying about maybe not using him wrong or putting him at returning. We saw what happened to Jason Sehorn. And I know that's like, you're like, it's 30-something years ago. I'm just making the point that, like, if he gets hurt, players get hurt. I don't want to lose a guy that I'm depending on to play both sides of the ball. That would be devastating.
And if Sean is correct, if he comes out as a receiver, what you could very well do is use Hunter in the 2-minute defense, 4-minute, he's only on the field on the, end of games, end of quarter for the half when teams are running 4 and 5 and you put him out then and you're not overusing him during the, the middle portion of the game.
But he's so good. He's so good. Do I want to only put him out there?
I think you got to manage snaps, right? If he's going to be out there on defense and he's primarily your receiver on offense, you got to manage snaps, right? You're going to have him over 100, well over 100 snaps a game, quite possibly.
Well, so I do worry.
Yeah.
That is a thing with me that, like, I don't want to be crushed that I just lost my DB and my, and my wide receiver. And now I'm like, only the Giants would have that happen to them, right? That they drafted this unicorn and he gets hurt and he's gone for 2 spots. So that's my thing on Hunter.
Valid concern, but I'll say this to the other points. I'm not letting Banks stop me from drafting Travis Hunter the same way I'm not letting Micah McFadden or Kayvon Thibodeau stop me from drafting Abdul Carter. Right? You figure out, you get them on the field, you make it work. Like nobody on this Giants roster is making me stop either one of those guys, Hunter or Carter.
I know, but you're talking about but you're talking about one-way guys. He's the unicorn where he's a two-way guy. No, if he was just a wide receiver or just a DB, I'd be fine. I'd be like, yeah, your point is well taken. Right on. The fact that he plays two and you're already scheming up that he's going to play two sides of the ball, and if he gets hurt, all players
the hurt. I get it. No, the hurt concern, I'm fine. But if they utilize them, and if they got to put them in for banks on like 3rd and long or something, like, absolutely do that. Like there's nothing wrong with that.
You got to have packages. You can't put them in there on defense just as much as offense. You got to have situational, play for him where he comes in situations. He can't be out there on a regular 2nd down and 7.
No. Agreed. Let me be more clear. You can get hurt running, like Gano, right? You know what I mean? Like you could be running down the field on special teams and get hurt. Me personally, the Giants are always, in a hole, right? No depth, no players. I don't personally think how they can, if he got hurt, tying his shoes to miss a guy on both sides of the ball, because you're going to start depending on him on both sides of the ball. So I'm like, as much as I want Hunter, he's awesome. I worry about that because that's the Giants' luck. Now,
I don't think you depend on him. If he comes out as a receiver, Craig, I don't think you're depending on him on defense. That's like the cherry on top. Once again, I think you manage the snaps, whatever that snap count is, So I don't think if he were to get hurt, I think you're mostly losing a receiver than a defensive back because you're not playing him, in a tremendous amount of snaps on defense. So it's more or less, if you looked at him on defense, it should be minimal, I would think, situation-wise, end of games, inside 2 minutes, inside 4 minutes, tight game.
Fair enough. I just know that if he did get hurt, whether he played one play on defense or he played 10 plays, you're still now going to a backup. He's not there to do what you had him to do, right? So,
well, sometimes you don't have enough guys on special teams, right? You got to play starters on special teams, and we've seen punt returners that are receivers get hurt. So it's kind of the same thing, too. Why is he back there catching a punt? Well, sometimes you want your best guy out there to break away, to break open a game when you're down by 6 points with a minute left.
If we're down with a minute left, we're down by 6 and we're a minute. I'm throwing Hunter
All bets are off. All bets are off. You got to win the game.
Blinking an eye. Without blinking an eye. I'm going to jump over Carter for a second and go to Graham. I mean, look, Graham has the ability to be an Aaron Donald, but he's much bigger, right? So, he's closer to Dex than he is Aaron Donald, right? Donald wasn't that big, like 320, whatever Dex is, 330, 340, whatever it is. I don't know if a D tackle goes at 3, but this kid is the real deal. He will be a top 8 to 10 pick without a doubt. He is a game wrecker. He is fast. He is strong. I know Cold is a big, sorry, did I say Darnold? Sorry, Cold. Aaron Donald. Bad habit. Thinking about quarterbacks too much on the brain, right? Cole's a big Michigan guy, so he watches him a lot. He could probably tell you a lot more. Giants move back to 5 and get him, move back to 6 and get him. I mean, him and Dex next to each other would be disgusting, right? So I don't know if if you pick him at 3, I don't know what people would call a reach. I don't know. The guy is going to be a game wrecker. And again, I don't know if you pick a D tackle at 3, but the Giants could move back a couple picks, right? Pick him up. He is the real deal. He will make some team much, much better. Now, Carter's the guy I want. And I purely think that he is an outside linebacker D end. I don't see him playing inside, right? As a downhill banger, right? He's too good in space, right? As Chris just alluded to, and he's tough, right? Playing with one arm in the bowl game, right? My question is, let me pop this up here. And this is just me. I've been asking all week about it. Is the injury, right? I know there's the shoulder injury, which is healing, but there's also this Liz Frank injury that is I think it's a Liz Frank injury. I don't want to put bad information. There's a foot injury.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a Liz Frank.
Yeah, I don't think it was
Yeah, I don't want to put bad info
Yeah,
out there, but he's got a foot injury.
Right.
I know Carl Banks tweeted me yesterday about Carl doesn't know anything about him needing surgery or not. Nobody seems, he was pretty cool. Like when he was doing his press conference, he said, "I found out the same time as everybody else did."
Yeah, Jay said it's stress fracture.
Stress fracture. Okay. They were doing combine stuff, right? And there, it comes up. Are you guys comfortable? No big deal. Stress fracture. Drafted him anyway. Is he going to be ready to go for camp? Does he have enough time off? Because he won't be able to train if his foot's down. So what's your thoughts, Chris, on Carter's injury?
Well, he said in the Penn State Press or whatever their publication is that he's going to be ready. He'll be ready to go. So the fact that they didn't even require surgery, is a good sign. I would think when he does his 30 visit, they're going to do medicals.
Yep.
So we're going to hear the Giant staff, medical staff, take that for what it's worth and see what their opinion is of it. But I would think, guys get hurt, but this is a stress fracture. This is something that I feel a lot more comfortable with a fracture than a Liz Frank, because these Liz Franks, they seem to, hang around a long time. But I think if he's cleared medically, I wouldn't pass him at 3.
How about you, Sean?
No, yeah, if the medicals are good, yeah, I'm not worried about it because it doesn't seem serious. It's not a big deal, anything like that. It's just a minor thing from everything I've kind of heard. So, but again, it's what the medicals, and every team's going to do a medical, or at least the teams in the top 4 are going to do a medical on them.
And if he needed surgery, that would have been early February. He could have had this done right after the bowl season. So the fact that they didn't do the surgery makes it seem like, it's not as bad as, because why would they wait?
They didn't know about it to the combine.
Right. He could have had it done though right after that.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess good point. I mean,
in 2 months till draft. 2 months till draft.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, and again, Carter's gonna have plenty of time to heal up if he needs it, right?
Yeah.
So you get, so he's got, what's he got? 8 weeks, 7 weeks, or no? Because they're gonna report rookie mini camps. Usually they report 2 days after the draft.
Right.
Yeah. That's fine. And I'm telling you, like, I'm lining them up the same way the Cowboys lined up Micah Parsons. I'm not playing him just as edge. I'm not playing him just hand in the dirt or down at outside linebacker. Like, I'm using him all over the field, like, to save his body, save his wear and tear, let him wreck the game everywhere. Because he was inside linebacker for 2 years at Penn State and did really, really well. He was 1 year at edge this year and did extremely well. So he can play both. So I'm using him that way. I'm going to use him on the inside.
Hey, Sean, I know you would use him that way because you got a brain. The question is, will Bowen use him that way? Or are we going to go nuts when they don't utilize him?
I mean, worst case scenario, like I said, they use him as the outside linebacker and they shift Kayvon down to the end. Like, that's the worst case scenario. And I'd be totally happy with that. Right. I know, Craig, I know you don't like Tibbs as an edge because limited moves, but in that defense and next to Dedge, imagine if you have Dexter, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Colston, their recent free agent signing, along with Burns and Thibodeau. That's a formidable D line right there. Like, I think it's a good move. I really do. I don't think it'll happen. I don't think they'll get Carter, but that'd be a great D line.
Wait, you don't think they're going to get Carter?
No, I think Carter's going at 2.
Okay, because I think the interesting thing about Carter is he also, if he's a Giant, you come into play with Thibodeau's 5th year, right? Like, because they've got plenty of time to sit on that 5th year, and so, like, you bring him in, see how he plays, and if he's a natural D end outside linebacker, they could just let Tibbs walk. I mean, that's going to get a lot of heat, for letting their homegrown guys walk, but. Yeah,
and they got to decide in May that they have to label that 5th year in May. So let them wait till the draft.
But it's just the 5th year. They don't have to sign him a long term. They could give him the 5th year, right? They could
correct.
Sit on it for the next 2 months, and then see how Micah Parsons, right? You got me talking about Carter's like Micah Parsons. See how Carter plays, whether you give him a long term or not. Because, you can still give him a long term. Even if you pick up the 5th year, you could still give him mid-season. You could sign him into a new long-term deal. Mm-hmm. So that'll be interesting. I'm glad that, you said it's not a Liz Frank. Carter's my guy. If he's definitely, to me, is the pick. I definitely think he's more in that defense. Sean, if anything, like if you're going to try to put Tibbs and Carter on the field at the same time, like Chris alluded to, I don't know if Bowen's smart enough to do it, but that would be lights out. Like that would be the move. You know what I mean? It's just instead of playing, one of these recent free agent signings, move Tibbs down, Carter on the outside and go to bat like that. I'm with you there. All right, let's roll into this. So that's Carter's injury. You're Sean, you're going Hunter. Chris, you're going Carter. I'm going Carter. If they move back a couple spots, it might be Graham, right? For any reason, something happens and they move back to 7 to 8 to 9. That could be Carter. Could be Graham.
Yeah, he won't be there at 7. He won't be there 7, 8, or 9. He'll go at 5 to the Jags. Graham.
Okay, that's possible.
You pair him with Trayvon Walker and whoever their other guy was, and remember, yeah. So I think he goes to 5 at Jacksonville.
All right, let's go here then. Chris, BPA or fill a need? Because best player available is very subjective. Filling a need can, we all shout for BPA, but sometimes when you purely 100% go BPA, you do find yourself with no depth and you get big holes. I believe in BPA at certain points in the draft, right? But sometimes you need to fill a hole, or you just never, you're deficient in a certain place. So
you're talking about 3.
Yeah. Well, actually, just 3, probably round 1 and round 2.
This team is in need of playmakers. It seems like they've added a few. Like we have some players now. We have some playmakers.
Holland let's keep it up. Adebo can make plays.
Adebo. And then when you talk about
the safety, Holland.
Of course, but then you add Dexter in, and Brian Burns, and if Karake gets let loose a little bit. But I think you can't have enough of these playmakers, which the Giants have lacked over the years, and we're finally starting to get some of these guys like a Neighbors and whatnot. But yeah, give me the best player available
at the first 2 rounds.
Yep.
Sometimes I feel like when I get in round 4, round 5, I'm really looking to fill a hole, right?
Yeah,
that I can't afford to go to camp without. Like.
Right.
I'm assuming Johnson Theo is going to come back healthy, right? And I don't know if Bellinger's making a team or not, right?
Yep.
Or if it's if it's guard, right?
And the needs are all over. So I mean, you're filling it in with the best player available, but chances are it's a need as well, because that player is probably going to go to a position where you need some depth anyway.
Yeah. Like somehow these Giants need to find their way to 2 guards here, right? Round 3, round 4. Like if you pass up if the best player available on the board happens to be a running back and you choose a running back over the guard, whatever JT said, I'm throwing my remote at the TV.
When you get to round 3 or 4, you're saying? Yeah.
No, yeah. If you're in round 3, you're in round 4, and it's between like a guard and a running back, but the running back is higher on the board, I'm pissed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We need the guard.
Yeah.
Round 3, round 4, please.
At that point, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Give me a guard. Go ahead, John. BPA, Phil.
So I think in round 2, I'm going D tackle. Like it's going to be hard for me to go BPA because the D tackles are so good that and now again, depending on what we do in round 1, we'll determine that. But if we don't go a D end or D tackle, and if we don't go Carter or Graham at 3, then I'm looking D tackle at 2, because those guys are too good to pass up on it in round 2, in my opinion.
Yeah, like Graham's running mate there at Michigan's gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Grant's gonna be in round 1, right? So the D tackle, like there's gonna be. The only other issue is that there's going to be talent that's going to be dropped down later. I think the D tackles will drop down, where you're going to have a round 1 guy that will be there in round 2. And I think you go that. I mean, can you go wide receiver if he's the best player available in round 2? I don't know. I mean, maybe, but I don't think, again, I don't think that's the way to go. I think guard or D tackle in there, because guard's not necessarily a need at this point. It would benefit, but it's not a need.
I don't know.
I mean, I get it. I don't think it's a big need, but You know, I don't see them going offensive line that high. I think they seem to be showing a commitment to defense high, but that number 3 pick is going to determine what we do.
And do you trust Shane with these mid-level guard picks? I mean, we've seen with Azuto and McKeithen. Do you trust Shane?
I do,
fourth round with
because
these guards?
that was a Bobby Johnson was big. He was out there pro day. He ran their pro day. Like, he was big on McKeithen and Azuto, and he didn't develop those guys. So that's my issue. Like, Carm has more input, and he developed these guys. You know what I'm saying?
I'll give you that. Yes. But going back, I mean, you're trusting your scouts and Shane to pull the trigger on that. You shouldn't be relying on Bobby Johnson to make the call on a guard. But I get what you're saying. I trust Priscillo more.
Yeah. Well, again, and Bobby Johnson was there working on me, told him. I think Shane does give a lot of credit to his coaches. He does listen to his scouts, but he gives a lot of credit to the coaches too. I believe.
I'm not a fan with Shane and his offensive picks. Like look, just again, I'm a body of work. Maybe he comes through this time, but he hasn't been great with his linemen. He's better in free agency with these guys. So, to me, if you go D tackle in round 2. You could, if you pick the guard in round 3, I think that'd be a prime guy to start, or at least battle to start.
I will say Shane could change the narrative with Jay Kubas. I think we could have something there, down the road. So Jay Kubas could be a nice find.
If they're moving Neal to guard, which he said he was open to today, again, you got guys there. So.
Right.
All right. Also, guys, if you happen to be a Good Morning Football fan for any reason, Schrager's leaving the show. That was an announcement today. I don't know where he's going or what football he's going to cover. The only reason I bring it up is Schrager's a big Giants fan, right? So you might not get as much Giants talk or chatter, as much because Schrager's leaving Good Morning Football. It's a good dude. Tried to get him on the show. Didn't have any luck with it, but he's a pro. I don't know where he's going or what he's doing. We're going to, I tweeted out, maybe we can get him to host here at Giants Rush. Since he'll have some free time on his hands. So
dust off that checkbook, Craig.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
We got to start a GoFundMe.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know where Schrager's off to. I'm sure he's got something pretty cool lined up. Maybe he goes like the Pat McAfee way, does his own YouTube thing or whatever. But, if you're a Good Morning Football fan, Schrager's is gone. Lastly, our last 2 things. 1, fan appreciation. If you want to be part of the draft show, Thursday night live and Friday night live, ping one of the guys, ping me, let me know. I've sent out some invites to a couple of you guys. I got some yeses and some nos. We're working on some stuff, and we were tossing around ideas of giving away an autographed jersey. We're talking about, we're going to get, by the way, so Spartan Mike's going to be at the draft. So Spartan's going to be doing a lot more video this time around. So we'll get a ton more video from Spartan from round 1 at the draft, since it's in Green Bay. It's not too far from him. So he's heading out there. Sean and I talked about if, maybe we have a poll. If you get the pick right, maybe, if you get the pick right, maybe we put your name into a hat, and everybody who picked Hunter goes into a bowl, and we pick out a name, and we give away an autographed jersey. So that's, so some of those things are in the works. You got to, prove you sub in. You go to the YouTube channel, you subscribe, and then you send us your no, you can't subscribe and unsubscribe and then resubscribe. I know you guys like to tell me that all the time, but I definitely want to do something for some subs because it helps us do this, right? If we can get more subs, we can do more stuff. YouTube will give us a couple bucks here and there. If anybody knows where Bill is, we miss Bill. We have not seen Bill or heard from Bill in quite some time. Mm-hmm. So we all hope Bill's okay. So if any of you guys are friends with Bill out there, send him a note. Make sure he's okay. It's been a good 4 weeks. We haven't heard anything from Bill. So
I sent a DM the other day and haven't heard back either. So
yeah. So Bill was a staple here. We don't know where he went. We don't know what happened. Maybe he just got sick of us. Maybe he just became a Jet fan. But either way, we're a little worried about Bill. So if any of you guys know Bill personally, reach out to him. Haven't heard anything at all. And last, wrap it up. On Monday, we will have a player interview on Monday. Nice. So we'll be doing that. So 7:30. Tell your friends, tell your parents. We'll be interviewing a New York Giant player on Monday. Last but not least, pounding it out for my dad, who turned 83 today.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Happy birthday,
Yep.
Mr. Santucci.
Yeah, Joe turned 83 today. We got to give him some props. He was here at the house yesterday hanging out. We went to dinner, came home, had some cake, hung out.
Would you send him home on an Uber, or did you actually drive him back to North Jersey?
He's 2 hours away. He drives himself. He
does. God bless him. All right. Well,
Yeah,
it's his birthday. You can at least go get him, Craig. I mean, really? You made him drive alone 2.5 hours?
Look, Joe is
for some birthday cake, and then you kicked him out, and he had to head back home.
No, I told him to stay over. I told him to stay over, but he didn't want to stay over because he thought it was going to rain, and he didn't want to get caught in the rain. So
right, I hear you. Good,
Joe is a one-man show. There is nothing. Joe, you can drop Joe off in the woods with like a popsicle stick, and he'd like figure it out.
Like the Pine Barrens, where he's driving right past the Pine Barrens.
Yep,
You could he'll find his way out. Nice.
Pound it out. Happy birthday, Dad.
Awesome. Happy birthday.
And we're going to see you guys next week. I'm assuming these guys are doing the draft show on Wednesday, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, they are.
They are. Okay, cool. I know they were. It was a big Shedeur Sanders show, but we're not talking about Shedeur Sanders anymore because we are not drafting Shedeur Sanders. I hope.
Look at Sean. He's not smiling.
Sure,
this is gonna be something.
We'll see what
Guys,
happens.
thanks
By the
for
way,
hanging out.
real quick.
Yeah.
I got my birthday coming up on Sunday. So
Oh,
right.
Listen, dude, it's not. Listen, we don't envy you that you're 55, but someday we'll get there too.
He's
Hey,
50.
listen.
I remember he's 50. You're 51, right, Sean? Because I know you turned 50 last year. It was a big deal.
Yeah, thank you,
All
Chris.
right,
Thank
all
you. Yeah, I
right,
turned
all right.
51. Right. Yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
sorry, I was
Yeah,
off
yeah.
a couple of years.
No, you're fine. That works. It's good to be the king. You get to have
I
it.
couldn't resist. So happy birthday to
Happy birthday.
you, my man. And we'll see you guys next week. Like I said, player interview 7:30. Tune in. Bring your questions. I try to usually.
Wait. Is this real? He passed away, guys. Jay confirmed it. Are we talking about Bill Parr?
I don't
what
know
is
when
that? Is it?
Well,
what
I
is
just
Colt
googled
saying?
his name, but it looks like an older one, so I don't know. It doesn't look like
Oh, wait,
Who we
gotta
talking about?
Bill.
Bill, it's cold. Is that right? I mean, we got to get clear. We got to find this out before we
Time
go.
out.
Oh shit.
Who's reporting that?
I don't know. Cole just put he passed away, guys. Jay confirmed it. Jay
Bill.
Ferries. He's talking about Bill Parnett.
Bill Hartnett.
Joe
Yeah.
Harnett? No, wait.
Hartnett,
That's what
yeah.
we're talking about, right? Holy shit.
Yeah, but
really?
who would? Yeah, but somebody. I mean, these
Shit,
these
was
guys
he
don't really
56?
know Bill.
Well, listen. Jay said yes.
I know
Colt
his
said-
name. He's from Torrance, California.
Right.
He's 50. I didn't realize he was 56.
Dude, he's on all the shows too. You see him on all the podcasts chipping in. You see him with Insider. You see him with.
He must have
all
got
the
sick
pod-
because it said
Oh,
he passed.
man.
It says he passed away on February 3rd.
Wait,
And
where are
we-
you seeing that? They're just putting that in the chat,
Google his name. Google
Oh,
Bill
man.
Hartnett, California.
dude.
No, really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He had been
man.
offline, so he must have got ill or something. Which is
Yeah,
why
Jay
he was
just posted.
offline
Thanks,
as much
Jay.
as well.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my god, man, dude, he was always chipping in a couple bucks for every podcast. He'd be supporting everybody.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dude, he gave me I
Nah, man.
refused to give Elon Musk any money for Twitter, and he gave me the money to go to
Yeah.
broadcast live on Twitter.
dude, we got to have a show dedicated to him. I'm telling you, man. We got to honor him with a
We
show.
got to do
We
something.
have to.
Draft night for draft night. We got to do something. We got to give something away in his honor. Like
Oh man.
we got to do something. Yeah, because that dude was like, he would DM
Ah.
me and we would have conversations.
What a
He was
nice guy,
extremely
man.
supportive. Yeah, he was an awesome dude. And
He
it was
was-
weird why we never heard from him. So I'm guessing he got sick, like really
What the
sick.
fuck? He got sick?
I'm guessing. I'm
Oh, I know
trying to
you're
dig up the shit now.
obviously, yeah. Oh shit.
I don't know if it says
That's a bummer,
Ah.
man.
he
I'm
he
re- I'm
passed
trying
away.
to-
He passed away on February 3rd of this year, but he had gone silent well before that.
Yeah,
So
he did.
I'm wondering if something happened.
Right.
Uh,
He was big with Insider. I wonder if maybe Jerry would know. But
yeah, he was big there.
oh man,
That dude
dude,
was awesome. Yeah, he
sure was.
We gotta name something after him or segment after him or
Yeah,
whatever.
absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
The Bill Harnett Award for something, whether it's a Player of the Week, right? The Bill Harnett Player of the Week or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, just something. Yeah.
I'm like totally.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say. I'm like,
Yeah. Me neither, man.
because like we were talking about like, hey, where's he been? I haven't seen him in a
Right.
while.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, he was so good to us.
Yeah, he was.
supported all the Giant shows, man. He really did.
I know. Good job on Jay there, because I don't
thank
know
you.
why I didn't think to Google his name earlier too. So good job, Jay.
I'm reading all the obits, and there are just a ton of them in here responding that Bill was always on their podcast. He always supported our show. Like he was just such a huge Giants fan. Like he just wanted Giants content, Giants talk, Giants friends, and like just all these guys. Like just yeah. Like this person says. I never met Bill, but we had this strange YouTube connection.
Yeah,
like I just
yeah.
Oh man, I am just.
Yeah, I'm bummed now, man.
Yeah.
Well,
enjoy life, guys. We got to enjoy life, man. Just don't know ever.
We'll definitely do something. Dang it. I mean, just dang it.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Life is definitely short.
Yeah. Giants take a back seat. Great guy, man.
Yeah. Yeah. 56. Jeez.
Man.
Yeah.
I can't find anything here on like if anyone's saying anything about him being sick or
He's an April birthday. He was born on April 14th.
Wow.
So his birthday was coming up in a couple weeks.
Oh God. Could have been something tragic. Who knows, man? Jeez.
Yeah. I'm just bummed.
Yeah, for sure.
And like we were just kind of like Sean and I kicking it around, like we hadn't heard from him, and I was like, and I sent him 2 or 3 DMs, hey man, you all right? All good. And then Sean took. I mean, just I'm like, he's okay. His wife is Geraldine. Maybe we can send something nice.
Yeah, we should. We got to. Yeah.
He was
The last time I heard from him was in December. He'd sent me. He found a. He had found a gun that was a custom Joker. It was a green with black at the ha-ha-has, and he sent it to me. And then I had sent something. Yeah, that was the last time I heard from him was December. So if he passed in February, so yeah.
His wife is Geraldine. He has a daughter, Elizabeth, and 2 brothers, Daniel and John. Oh man, they're originally from Philadelphia.
Wow.
Shit.
Yeah, man. I'm just like.
So we need to mark on the calendar. So April 14th, that's a Monday. So we need to what would have been his birthday, his 57th birthday. We need to do a Bill Hartnett tribute on Monday the 14th then.
Yeah, for sure. I'm putting it down.
I was trying to see if I could find any news like on what happened.
Yeah.
Like I hope it wasn't anything. Well, it's terrible that he died, and now I'm hoping like it wasn't so because it's kind of sudden.
Yeah. Unless he was battling some stuff that he didn't share with anybody. Who knows, right? I mean, yeah.
Man, that is just all right. Well, we'll talk offline. We'll figure something out. And I'm gonna send a note here. I don't know if the family's reading them or not, but it doesn't matter. I'm gonna put something nice out there. Bill was just a good dude.
Yeah, he was.
Real good dude. So sorry to end on a down note, guys. But we've lost a good one. So
yes.
Pound it out to Bill. I hope you're listening to the Giants podcast in the sky, my friend. We will see you guys next week. Player interview 7:30. Be here. Peace.
Thanks, guys.